Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up in our health segment, one of the risks of long-distance holiday travel and how to prevent it. First tonight, the risk to our financial health in this holiday season. When everything screams buy, 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 how can we keep a level head without turning into Mr. Grinch? Joining us now is wealth coach and author Deborah Owens. Deborah, thanks for being with us.
It's great to be here again, Jeff.
So the whole thing is everybody wants the holidays to be merry and bright. Nobody wants the credit card hangover in January.
No, nobody wants it, but unfortunately, far too many people succumb to all of the advertising. And I think what people need to understand is that this is the time of year when retailers make most of their profits. And so their goal really is to incentivize you to spend. And so what is important is that our viewers who are watching this program actually have a strategy so that they don't succumb to the marketing and they actually do have a Christmas that's merry and bright.
So the retailers, whether it's a store at the mall or an online store, they know every trick in the book to get you to buy. So we need to know a few tricks to defend ourselves.
Absolutely. So, you know, just think about it. If you go into the store, and I noticed this the other day going into a store, and I heard all of the favorite songs that I loved when I was in high school and college, right? So it's like they'll take you back to those days where you really felt great.
Somebody in the back knew Deborah just walked in.
No, but so they know our demographic. Okay, so what's important is number one, make a list and check it twice. So what's really, really important when you go into stores, because you remember the Kmart Blue Light Special where they had this wonderful deal and they get you in and they got you in really so that you would, you know, look at buy other things.
And you make that snap decision, wow, that sounds like a deal.
Absolutely.
Maybe I do need that.
Yeah, and so think about, you have all of these coupons and then they'll have specials going on that incentivize you to buy between the hours of 8 and 12. And there's just something about scarcity that drives people to spend. But here's the tip I want people to know, is you can go broke buying things on sale.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about that for a moment. So just because
you think you're saving money, but it's not like they're putting money into your wallet.
And you know, I would challenge to people to just look in their closets and their cupboards and in all of their storage areas of all of those things that they bought in previous Christmases or bought on sale that they don't need. So the first tip really is have a list. And you know, I think for those of us with for people with young children, certainly I don't have any at home. I'm an empty nester now. But for those people who have young children, I think you have to have a conversation with your kids about what you can afford, right? And so having a list, or families who have very large families should do what I call old school. And that's where you actually pull names and you identify what the total amount that you could spend on that gift. And that really takes the pressure off of people. And that number should really be something that everybody can afford. So, you know, maybe you can't afford that $50, but maybe on average, the people in your family can only afford to spend $25. That's a great way to begin.
You wrote on your blog at DeborahOwens.com about a disappointment at age 7 or thereabouts. You were a little girl and there was something you really wanted.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's something about the new novelty, right? So right now it could be that big Apple or it could be the Apple Watch, right? Well, for me, it was Chatty Cathy. And Chatty Cathy was the first doll in my age group that ever spoke. And so I told my parents, the only thing I want is this doll, Chatty Cathy. I don't want anything else. The only thing I want to see under the tree is Chatty Cathy. Well, you know, that morning, Christmas morning, I wake up and lo and behold, there's this box under the tree. And I'm so excited because it looks the same size as that Chatty Cathy doll would be. And when I opened up the wrapping, of course, the doll that was inside didn't talk. And so I was so disappointed. I can remember even now, even though I was 7 years old, telling myself, if my kids ever ask me for something, I'm going to make sure that I get that one special gift each Christmas. And if I were to look at my own behavior over the years, certainly I have my husband and I have young adults now. But when I look at what drove me on Christmas morning and what drove my Christmas behavior, my Christmas shopping behavior, it really was making sure that I didn't repeat that. And so that's when you find yourself at these sales or whatever the new toy is, trying to make sure that you get it before it's sold off. And one of the things I talk about in that blog, if they want to take a look at it, is that you really need to get underneath what is driving your behavior. Because sometimes we're living vicariously through our children, if you will, and it's not rational, it's more emotional.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question or maybe you have a tip for us about holiday shopping, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. We're talking about the tricks that stores use to get people to buy. Maybe everybody has this experience. You go to the grocery store hungry.
Yes.
And you come out of there with stuff you had no intention of buying on the way in.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing is the whole BOGO, right? Buy one, get half off. Well, typically what people need to understand is that the retail price of whatever that item is usually marked up significantly. So that buy one, get one, so let's say you're getting buy one, get one half off. If you put the two together, that's probably 25% off on both of those items. And typically, do we really want two of the same thing? No, but there's something about feeling like we're getting a deal that really causes us to spend. Even psychologically, they've done studies about what it does to the brain when we're shopping and the kinds of things that happen to us, that feeling that we get when we feel like we're getting something of value.
Do you think women have more stress from holiday shopping than men? Do women do more shopping?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, typically, I'll use my husband as an example. He'll go shopping with me if I just want to go shopping. But typically, if he's going in a store, he's going to get something specific, a jacket, a golf club, something very specific. As opposed to women, I think that sometimes we use it shopping is more social for us, I think, than it is for men.
How about, we should talk about credit cards a little bit and other forms of credit around the holidays. How do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you have these offers going on all the time, really, where they'll say 6 months same as cash, 1 year same as cash. And so that feeling of getting something without having to pay for it, what it can do is so you're not feeling the pain initially. But what most people don't realize is that if they don't pay that entire balance off within that 6 months time frame, typically the interest reverts back to that initial purchase as if they had bought it all on credit.
Wow, big penalty.
And it can be a huge penalty. In some cases, if you look at consumer credit cards, they have some of the highest interest rates, and they're upwards of 20, 22, 25%. So think about, and that interest is compounding as well. So the deal that you're getting maybe on that $1,000 55-inch TV, you're getting it same as cash. That $1,000 TV could in the end up costing you something more like $1,500 or $2,000.
What do you think about store credit cards? The department stores all want you to have their card, and they'll make you a deal of some sort to get it. You get an extra discount, you get some bonus. Are those a good idea?
Well, retail cards have some of the highest interest rates of all. You're probably better off getting a credit card through your credit union if you're going to actually purchase something on credit. The reason that retailers want to get you at the point of purchase is, again, in your mind you say, oh yes, I'll get this additional 10 or 20% off, and then when I get the bill, I'll pay it off. And typically people don't pay it off. What ends up happening is they're incentivized for during sales. If you're a credit card holder, you get additional percentage off. So that savings that we think we're getting initially, if you look around at the compounded interest, I mean, one of the rules that I like to use is the rule of 72. And a lot of times you look at that as your money compounding, and basically you put the interest rate that you're earning, you divide it into the number of 72, and it tells you how long it takes your money to double. Well, that actually works on credit in reverse. So that thing, let's say if it's got a 20% interest and you're paying the minimum payment, which means the principal is not going down, 20 goes into 72. How many times? A little over 3 years. If you just continue to pay that balance off, I mean, just pay the minimum payment, you're going to end up paying twice of what you initially charged. And so one of the things that I try to tell people, in order to take make some rational decisions, take the emotion out of it and crunch the numbers. And if you look at what the long-term implication is of what you're about to do, then I think sometimes taking that what I want to call a 360-degree view of what you're about to do, you can change the emotion because you know that you're really not getting that deal.
You know, the other thing about this time of year, when somebody's looking at the budget and they're not happy with it, and you know, everybody's busy to begin with, but if somebody does have a little extra time, this is a great time of the year to pick up a short-term job.
Yes, it is.
Retail, they're busy.
It is. I mean, you may be earning extra cash, but what I found really interesting over the Thanksgiving holidays was that many retailers actually closed and let people spend time with their family. So, yes, it is a good time where you can make some extra cash. And I think particularly for young people, when you look at some of the statistics on unemployment for younger people, this time of year would be a great way for them to earn extra cash, particularly during, high school or college break, so that they actually do have a few dollars and they can make so that they can have a happy holiday. You know,
Black Friday wasn't all that spectacular this year, was it? I mean, what you read is that sales on that particular day were maybe a little bit less than expected.
They were, because I think what the statistics show us is that retailers have gotten smart. They're not just waiting to make all of that money on one day. They are spreading out the different discounts that they're giving. Of course, Cyber Monday has taken on more prominence, if you will, because of people's love of all things electronic. I also think that what we saw this year was less people actually going to the stores and more people shopping online. And if you look at the numbers and how many people actually shopped online over the Black Friday weekend, this was the highest amount of online purchases made ever.
So you're a money expert, I'm sure a shopping expert. What do you do different from the rest of us? I mean, are you more online? Are you checking prices online before you're buying in stores?
Absolutely. One of the things that I do is comparison shop. And if there's something that I want to buy, typically I'll go online so that I can see what the cost of that item. I do something different in that typically I will shop with a retailer that has an online site and try what it is I want online and then wait for it to go. I mean, try what it is I want in the store to make sure that it fits, of course, and then buy that purchase online. One of the other things that I love to do is to buy it online and then pick it up at the store, because then you know that you have it. You're not worried about it getting lost in the mail. So those are just a few things that I do to make sure that I feel like I'm getting the best return on my purchase.
Deborah Owens of DeborahOwens.com. When are you on the radio?
So I'm on the radio on WEAA, that's 88.9, on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. And really want to encourage people, if they want more tips in their email box, they can go to DeborahOwens.com and click on Join the Movement, and we'll send you out tips every week.
Well, thank you for stopping by, and happy holidays.
Always a pleasure, and
Deborah,
thanks again.
thank you. And we're back in a moment with our health segment right after this.
Tonight on MPT. Pies are a scrumptious treat.
If you use top quality fruit, roll the dough out properly, you got a pie.
It's a big domed apple pie in California and a coconut cream in Pittsburgh. We found a blue Hawaii pie in Seattle.
It's blueberries, crushed pineapple, and toasted coconut.
And a pie shed on the Honor System in Vermont. On Pie Day in Bram, Minnesota, folks bring their best pies to be judged. We call it a few good pie places.
Tonight at 8 on MPT.
You won't believe what's brewing in Baltimore, hon.
A lot of folks ask, where do you actually make your beer?
We'll pour some Charm City Legends, get the secret recipe to home brews, and sample a hopping local craft beer scene.
I need to make a beer that doesn't exist.
Find out what's on tap in the land of pleasant living.
When you think of Baltimore, you're always going to think of beer.
And grab a cold one for Brew More Baltimore.
Tonight at 9:30 on MPT.
Celebrate the season with the three tenors. Luciano Pavarotti, Jose Carreras, and Placido Domingo perform in a once-in-a-lifetime concert event.
And since we've no place to go, let us go, let us go, let us go.
The Three Tenors Christmas.
Tuesday night at 8 on MPT.
Harvard professor Dr. Rudy Tanzi shares the tools to help prevent chronic diseases like obesity, dementia, heart disease, and to promote what he calls radical well-being. Unlock the astonishing power of your DNA in Super Genes.
Wednesday night at 8 on MPT.
Joining us for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Rafael Cirez-Drouet, Assistant Professor of Medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Vascular Medicine Physician at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
We want to focus on deep vein thrombosis, which is a potentially life-threatening condition.
Yes, it is. It is, and it's, sometimes you can have your DVT. We call DVT deep vein thrombosis. You can have in your legs, but sometimes that can travel to your lungs, and that is life-threatening.
I mentioned at the beginning of the program that it can be associated with traveling long distances. You think about airplanes, but cars also?
Yeah, cars also has been associated with deep vein thrombosis, especially if you're going to take a long trip. We're talking usually more than 4 hours. Then is when your risk start increasing.
Is it always the legs?
Most of the time are the legs, but also you can have blood clots in the arms. You can have blood clots in the brain and other parts of the body, sometimes the renal arteries, But
what causes it?
Well, blood clots is caused because an imbalance between two substances that we have in our bodies. We have procoagulants and anticoagulants, natural. But when we break that balance, we develop a blood clot.
And we break the balance mechanically or in terms of chemistry?
We have several risk factors. Let's say if somebody has cancer, that increase your risk to have a blood clot. Obesity increase the risk of having a blood clot. Age increase the risk of having a blood clot. There are some people that has inherited problems that increase the risk of having blood clots. Travel also increase the risk.
So say it's a younger, healthy person on a very long airplane ride who doesn't get up, doesn't exercise. Are they susceptible?
Well, they are at risk because of the long trip. But if that person, let's say, is taking contraception pills or is pregnant, or if has some inherited problems, can increase the risk of having a blood clot.
What do we do about that? I'm one of those people on a plane ride. I can't sit still for that long. So I'm going to at least move my legs, maybe get up and walk back and forth or something. Is that a good idea?
Well, that is an excellent idea. There's a couple more things. First, you have to travel very comfortable. Try to don't use tight clothes, no belts, try to be very, very comfortable. Second thing, try to avoid alcohol and caffeine during your trip because that can make you dehydrate. And also, every 30 minutes or every hour, you can stand up and walk a little bit in the plane. Sometimes I know if you go in economic class, that's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Standing up is difficult, right?
But you can make exercises with your heel and your toes, up and down, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, and that also can help.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about deep vein thrombosis, how to prevent it, how to treat it, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. So let's talk about symptoms. How does somebody know when this is going on?
Well, what are the symptoms when you have in your legs? Usually you can have swelling of the leg, you can have pain, change in color of the legs. But usually happen when you don't have any other reason why to have those symptoms. Because if you hit your leg or something, maybe it could be secondary to trauma. But if you have no reasons, maybe you have to think to go to the doctor.
Is that an emergency by itself? How quickly do you need to get to the doctor?
Well, it is an emergency. You need to go to the emergency room or to your office doctor, and they can make a diagnosis and treat you.
Now, the other sites for thrombosis, if it's you talked about the renal system, the arms, symptoms is obvious?
Well, usually are the same symptoms, but those are less common and more associated with, let's say, in the upper arms. Usually we see that in the patients that are in the hospital with catheters, in the arms. The renals is something more rare that we still see, also the brain, but those are diagnosed usually in the hospital.
Now, treatment options, anticoagulants, where do you start?
Well, first you start with a diagnosis. When you make a diagnosis, you have to see what is the risk of this patient and how bad the DVT is. Anticoagulants are the main treatment of this, but there are other options too. We have some medicines that's called thrombolytics that basically gonna destroy the blood clot. You can give even systemic thrombolytics, or you can deliver thrombolytics directly to the blood clot and destroy that. And in some extreme situations, we can even open and take the blood clot out by surgery.
Is there a risk, is there an enhanced risk if the blood clot is sitting there, but if it breaks loose, we didn't talk about where it goes to be a potentially fatal situation, but lungs, heart, brain?
Yes.
When you can answer that, but when you start treating it, if you add in some of these medications, do you risk mobilizing it and causing damage?
Well, usually when you start treatment, what you do is to stabilize the blood clot. And if you treat the patient 1, 2, 3 days, the risk of embolism decrease. Basically, that is what the treatment do. But if at some time the blood clot travels already to the lungs, let's say, and is the patient in a critical condition, then is when we use the thrombolytics. Let's
grab a phone call. Anne Arundel County, this is Jack. Jack, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Does taking aspirin help prevent blood clots? And what are some other methods that one might try, other things that one could drink or take?
Jack, thank you very much. Thoughts on a little bit of aspirin?
Well, a little bit of aspirin usually does not prevent blood clots. That is used for different things, for coronary artery disease. Usually what works for preventing blood clots is what we say about exercise and all that.
Squeeze in one more. Loudoun County, this is Julie. Julie, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm wondering, are there certain foods that people should avoid, for example, sodium? And also, what about people that are diabetic and they're taking a long trip, say, to Australia?
Great questions. Julie, thank you so much.
Well, all these beverages that has sodium and everything, that can make you retain fluids, and maybe you can confuse that with a swelling for a DVT. But usually, unless that is something that makes you dehydrated, we usually don't increase your risk of for DVT during a long trip. And about diabetics, diabetic itself is not a risk factor for DVT. However, most of the patients that has diabetes is older people, that has other risk factors combined with the diabetes, and that is when the risk increased.
Very good. Dr. Rafael Sires-Drouet, University of Maryland, and the University of Maryland Medical Center, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Join us Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, how a world-famous guitar maker is using music and math to change medical technology. Now, for all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.